Hello and welcome to GK videos. In this video I'm going to discuss about the PX4-300D device, the general overview. You must have been used a couple of devices, or maybe if you are the first time user, you're watching this video, you should be this video should be useful to find out what options are available with the Lenovo NAS PX4-300D device. And for my demonstration purpose, I'm using PX4-300D with 4.1.102 version of firmware, and the earlier version I had was 4.0.8. and there is a slight difference. If you have used the older version, you would see the difference, but yeah, there are a couple of changes been made where the security has been enhanced. So by default all these shares will be automatically secured. So let me just log in to the NAS web console. Alright, so as you can see my screen, the icons are completely changed. I mean, it'll be little difficult to find out where is that option for iSCSI or maybe for share or whatever you're looking for. Well, in all futures you can see all the icons or the options available with this device. So I'm going to discuss one by one with their what is the use of that particular option. So I would basically start with the application manager, but as you can see the interface has been completely changed, and if you have used with older version, you will see the difference with the latest version. So the application manager, this option is useful to install any SDK apps. For example, you are a developer, you want to develop some apps and want to test it, you can actually install here. Or maybe you can you have some applications provided by Lenovo support or Lenovo, you can install coming here, for example Secure Mind, something like that. So the next option is configuration backup and restore. This option is useful to back up your configurations. The backup configuration in the sense the NAS IP address, host name, the user information, the share information, and the security permissions for the shares, and the RAID configuration, like that. And it is useful for me. I believe it is useful for two purposes. One, where you have multiple devices bought from the same vendor, and you wanna replicate the configuration. You made changes to one device and you wanna replicate the changes to the other other devices as well. You take the backup and restore it across all the other devices, so it would actually eliminate the workforce you need for the manual configuration of each device. Other than that, when you have device replaced and you wanna set it up again with the replacement of a device from support, for example, in that case actually you can use this configuration and restore the settings so that the earlier settings will be applied. So the first option, restore settings, is where it will just restore the user information and IP address, host name. The second option is where it will actually restore the user information, IP address, host name, then the copy jobs, access permission, along with the drive configuration. So the drive configuration is nothing but the RAID configuration of the device. For example, you have a RAID 5 configuration, so that will be recreated again. So this is how it does work. So well, let me just go back, and now the third option I see is the Content Explorer. So there is no much use of it, but yes, I mean, you want to find out what are the contents available on these shares, for example, whatever the shares you have. So you want to find out what is the data available on the shares, and you don't want to access using the Windows UNC path. You can actually come here and explore each share and find out what information or what data is available on that particular share. you can actually add, remove, you can basically perform all the activity from the web interface as well. However, it is recommended to use through UNC, but if you fail to use it, you can use it through online as well. Now, so the fourth option is copy jobs. So this is actually an inbuilt application, comes with the device. So this is a backup utility where it will back up your data from any client computer, for example Windows or Linux, using CIFS or rsync, and it will pull the data from the NAS, from the client to the NAS device, and vice versa. So I'll not demonstrate the copy job configuration. However, I'm gonna create one more video to demonstrate that as well. So this is basically is useful. For example, you have multiple computers and you want to back it up on a scheduled basis, you can actually do that. So all you have to do is you have to create jobs for each computer, and creating the job and schedule it as per your need. And the custom config is what the application, what I was showing under application manager. So the custom config, this tool, this SDK app actually been provided by the Lenovo support for Samba. Actually there are some attributes. For example, you're facing an issue, so there are some times where the support would provide you some solutions for that particular issue. So for me, actually I had some problem with the Samba, the space issue, so where I got this application from support, and I had to change the attributes as per the suggestion by support. However, if you're familiar with the Samba and the Samba syntax, possibly you would understand how does it actually work internally. So the next option is date and time. This is where you can actually set the device date and time. So I have checked it manually, but you can actually configure it automatically to synchronize with the internet as well. Well, so let me just go back, and so the next option I see is device identification. So in the earlier version, in 4.0.8 up to 4.0.8, the device identification was included the device name and the work group and AD information. So the domain information was removed from this option, and there is one more icon was created for simplicity. So here in under device identification, you can actually change the device name as per your maybe requirement, or maybe you can keep it by default as I've kept it. And if you have any work group name, you can write it down. So the next option is domain management. So this is what I was talking about. So this option was included under device identification earlier version of firmware. So now it is being segregated just to simplify and make it more clear. The domain management, this option where you can actually, if you have Active Directory server in your network and you want to integrate this device with your Active Directory server and pull the users and groups information and start using in that way, then you can actually turn it on and enter the domain name, the fully qualified domain name, for example yahoo.com or corp.yahoo.com. Then the preferred server is the domain name server, your actually Active Directory server, and it generally works with hostname as well, fully qualified hostname. However, preferably the IP address would work, because if sometimes if DNS server doesn't function well or maybe it doesn't respond, then there should be a problem. Then the next option is organizational unit. Well, it is an optional tab which you wanna enter, or you can actually skip it. then the administrator username password, then the refresh interval for your NAS to contact the Active Directory to refresh the information. So you can actually select anyone as per your need. You can select it never, weekly, daily, or hourly, something like that. Then the local network connection, anyway, for LAN it's not required, and for yes, remote encryption, it is always recommended to be always. And the next option is enable trusted domains, and this option is where if you have multiple domains or trusted domains in your network, trusted in the sense where a couple of domains you have, like a couple of companies got merged or a couple of domains you manage separately and you integrated, they have the trusted relationship with different domain controllers. If you enable this option, this NAS device actually would communicate with all the domain controllers, and it will pull up all the user and group information, and you can actually add those users into the NAS. So this is how the enable the trusted domain work or maybe useful. So that's all about the domain management. So let me just go back to all features. Then the download client option. This is where if you have internet, then possibly you can see that by clicking it will redirect to another page, and this is where you can actually download the client software. So these are not softwares to install on the NAS device, but the client computer, your Windows computer or Linux based machines. So the storage connector is a software which will help you to discover the device, and the storage manager software is also a tool to detect the device in your network. And the third one is storage manager with Twunky. So the storage manager, it's a bundle package where if you install the storage manager, it will also include the Twunky, where both will be installed all together. And the Twunky is nothing but it's a media server where you can actually aggregate all the media content, and you can actually play it from your Twunky client, which means that it will just open up a web page where you can see all the contents of audio videos available from your network, and you can play it as you normally play in YouTube or somewhere else. So all the content will be listed down, and it's useful in a home based purpose or something like that, where you want to listen some music all together in one page or watch videos. Okay, so the next option is drive management. So this is where we all configure the RAID configurations and create volumes and make the system or maybe the data read write transfer information, whatever the configuration we have. So this is the option where we can enable those options too. So the first one is drive write caching. So this option is useful when you have a UPS, and what it does is actually when you write a data to the NAS device, if you enable this option, it will not directly write to the drives. However, it will store the data in the temporary RAM or cache, and actually then it would just go up and write the data on a later stage on the disk. So it will actually improve the performance of read and write. And coming down, you can see the RAID information. I created RAID 5. I got around 2.67 terabyte. You can actually change the name of the RAID pool, and you can create the volume, and you can see the parity information. So the protection is parity RAID 5, which gives you only single drive failure protection. And the other option you see is that the allocated and unallocated space. Allocated in the sense that is being allocated to the NAS, and unallocated where I can use it for later point of time. So that's all about the drive management. And coming down, actually as you can see, I have created 3 volumes, and there is a new feature which is being included with starting version 4.0.2. So what you can basically do is, there is a feature called snapshot. Let me just show you that option as well. So yes, so this is the option what I was talking about. So you can actually create snapshot of the volume. So this feature is useful to have a protection of your complete volume. For example, I have created the volume which is called share. It's about 2.67 terabyte the capacity. Then I'm sorry, it's about 1.2 terabyte. Yes, and I want to have the protection for whatever these shares and data underneath. Then what I can do is I can actually enable the snapshot feature. So what it does is, it will take snapshots of the data available on that particular volume, and it will keep those snapshots. Like I can select how many snapshots I want, and what is the snapshot percentage of the volume reserve. So you need at least 20% space available. For example, you have 100 GB, or maybe you have used 80, so remaining 20 should be available so that the snapshot can function. So you can also decrease that if you want, and you can actually expose or maybe unexpose the snapshot, or you just want to create a direct snapshot without any kind of scheduling. You can do that as well. So the snap reserve, where you can change the percentage, but by default it should be 20%, and you can actually expose those snapshots, but default it will be unexposed, and it should be read only, which means that it will not be visible to normal users. So the normal users will be using it at any point of time. If they complain that, hey, I lost the data, you can actually restore from the snapshot. So let me go back, and the next option is email notification. This is where you can actually configure to receive alerts from the NAS device. So the destination email address, you can enter your email address to receive the alerts to your email, and you can send a test message to just to make sure it is working fine in your environment. And if you have SMTP server or Exchange server in your network, and you wanna configure it and you wanna receive it from one particular email address, you can actually do that. You can enter the SMTP server or maybe the Exchange server information, then the port number, then the server, the email address from where you want to receive, and the username, password. So let me just go back, and now we are in energy savings. So the energy saving is useful when you don't use your device so often. For example, if the device is idle for 3-4 hours, and the drives will be spinning down and all the processes will be running up, it consumes the energy. So if you want to configure it, what you can do is, for example, you can tell the NAS device, hey, you know what, if I don't use it, if I don't use you for 1 hour, then you can actually power down the drives. So what happens, the NAS would wait for 1 hour. If nobody accesses the NAS resources, it would power down the drives, and it will be idle, so that you can save the energy as well. And as well as you can also check the indicator brightness. You can set it to medium, high, or maybe low. So the front LEDs, whatever you have, you can actually change the blinking LED brightness as well. Then the enable wake on LAN. This is where if the NAS device is idle and you want to wake it up over the LAN, so you might have to use a third-party applications which I've never tested on, but this is useful for that purpose as well. So what does that mean? That if you have an application which is capable to wake up a device over LAN. So that application would ping to the device, and the device will turn on. Then the device power schedule. So this option is useful. For example, your device is not running 24/7, and you are, let's say for example, your office shuts down at 6:30, and all your computer, laptop and NAS device, you have to shut it down. So in that case, what you can do is, if your management asks to shut it down, so you can automate, which means that you can schedule it. So by 6:30 p.m. it gets shut down automatically, just to make sure that the power, the main power source should be turned on. You should not turn it off, because NAS cannot turn on again. So the next morning you come out, for example, your office is at 8:30. If you configure it, the NAS would automatically start at 8:30. Alright, so the next option is event logs. The event logs, this is where all the events are recorded. For example, any status change on your device, or maybe any hardware change, software change, or any configuration change you make on using the web interface, for example. So everything will be recorded. For example, any hard drive failure, that will be recorded. Any user account creation, deletion, or any copy job, anything, so that will be recorded as well. So the next option is external storage. So this icon, what it does is, if you connect any USB drive to the NAS device, that will be listed down under this option. So you can see actually the device information of your external drive. Alright, the next option is factory reset. So the factory reset is a option which would actually bring the device to its factory mode. So this is useful in a manner where you have different projects, and you have used this device for a project, and that project is completed. You want to hand it over to other department or something like that. So you don't want the other department access the data. You can actually delete the data completely and bring the device to factory mode. Or your friend is borrowing the device from you, you can actually delete all your data. The quickly delete would take hardly 15 to 20 minutes, which would delete everything quickly. But using that option, you delete. So there is a chance that if any data recovery center using any applications, advanced tool, they should be able to recover it. And the securely delete all data is where it deletes bits by bits, and it doesn't store any of the information. Even the data recovery center will not be able to recover the data. However, this option takes a lot of time, even days. So just be careful when you use these two options. Well, the first option is fine. The second option is where it's going to take a lot of time, because it will erase all the data, even not even leave any of its content on the plates or the hard disks. And you can actually choose what you want this NAS to be done after the factory reset. Maybe you want this NAS to be power off, or maybe restart after once the activity is being performed. So you can select and click on apply, and the process will start. So that's all about the factory reset option. Let me just go back again to all features, and the next available option is feature selection. So this option, what it does is actually, as you can see in all features tab, I have all the icons available, and most of the icons, or maybe features, I'll not be using, I'm sure about that. For example, the YouTube or support, the setup, something like that. So these are like and the media server. So these are not important for me. So what I can do, I can click on it, expand, and turn this feature off. So what it does is it will hide these options or icons from the all features tab. So it will minimize, and you can customize what icons you want to see under all features, so that if you're using it for office purpose, definitely you'll not be using all these features. You can disable it. So the next option we have is guided tour. So this is for the first time users. Actually, since like I mentioned, 4.1.102 is a new firmware, so you can just go through the guided tour. So the next option is homepage settings. So you can actually turn it on or off. Maybe when you turn it on, what happens, you access the NAS web console, you can see the slides and the shared contents, like the shared folders like that. And then you, on the top, you can find a settings button which you need to click to get into the management console. So I don't feel it's so much useful for me, so I always keep it, turn it off. By default it will be turn on with the firmware coming up, but you can always disable it. You can actually set the destination folder as well, and the index file, which index file you want to run when you open up the NAS IP address over web console. So let me just go back again to all features. So the next option is iSCSI. This is where you can actually create iSCSI drive. So I'll not be demonstrating the iSCSI here again. So I have a video about iSCSI, how to set up. If you want, you can go through that. So the next option is language. So the language option, this is the preference of language. For example, you want to use any other language other than English, you can set it up. Then the next option is media server. So the media server is, for example, you have any audio video content in the NAS shares, and across your network any video content or audio content is being shared. When you turn on it, it will aggregate all those video content, and using the Twinkie you can actually use those video content and audio content over one single page. So you can find all the list of audio and video content, a single page you can play, and it will be useful to find out all the details. And you have a DLNA television, you can actually play those video and audio as well. So the next option is network. So you can see I have two network ports, and by default it will be under DHCP, automatically configured DNS wins and all IP address. You just need to uncheck that checkbox to enter the information manually. So if I expand it, you can see that there is also a checkbox which you need to uncheck to change the IP address. So the next option is personal cloud. So this is nothing but a personal cloud where you can enable this option to give access to remote users. What it means that you can actually enable this option. You need to port forward some of the ports from your WAN IP address to your local NAS IP address, and you can send requests to your friends, colleagues sitting out in different regions, and they should be able to access your NAS device resources. For example, you can actually give permission to any particular share or any content, or maybe you have a project where you work in a collaborative way. You can actually share those resources. And to enable personal cloud, you need to enable a couple of ports. Those are port 50500, port 80, port 443. So these three ports you need to enable in your public IP address. So the port forwarding, how does it work is that if any request comes to the public IP address, it would reroute or maybe redirect or port forward those requests to the local NAS device, and the personal cloud should be able to communicate over internet. Alright, so the next option is picture transfer. So what this option does is basically, once you turn it on and you select the destination folder, maybe a share, click on apply. So if you have a camera where you record a lot of, or maybe you capture a lot of camera pictures, and you want to back it up to the NAS device, all you have to do is turn it on and connect the camera to the NAS USB port. It will be copied. Then the next option is printers. If you have any printers connected to the NAS, it will be listed down here. So the next option is protocols. So here you can find out all the protocols available with this NAS device. Actually the first one is Apple file sharing for Macintosh, then Bluetooth, FTP, NFS, rsync. And rsync is useful for NAS to Linux, or maybe NAS to NAS data replication. SNMP is the trap alerts, or the alerts. If you have SNMP server, you want to receive the alerts from NAS, you can configure that. Then the next option is quick transfer. So the quick transfer is nothing but if you have configured copy jobs on the NAS, and if you see on your device there is a small button with this indication, so that is nothing but a that is called quick transfer button. So if you have a copy job created, you just press that button and the job would start. You don't have to log into the NAS web console to start. The next option is security. This is where you can enable the security for the NAS device. And if you have any custom certificate, digital certificate imported or bought from CA somewhere, you can actually load the certificate as well. So the local network encryption is not required, and the remote encryption, yes, it's always required. Alright, so the next available option for me is setup. So the setup is the first time users, you just need to go through this. When you install this firmware, latest firmware, you would see that. And then the next option is shares. So this is where you can actually you are dealing with the data. You can create shares, you can actually edit share, or maybe you can delete a share. So as you can see, the share, you can access it using the UNC path from Windows, and you can actually give permission to different users, or maybe you can keep it to everyone, or maybe for particular users. So you can enable this option under the shares option. You can actually change the volume allocation. For example, if share is full, you can expand the share space as well. The next option is software updates. So this is where you deal with all the updates of the the firmwares or the device operating system, the NAS operating system. So as you can see, I have two applications installed. The first one is LenovoEMC support. I told you that is the SDK app provided by support, and the second one is the firmware, which is 4.1.102. All you have to do is download the latest firmware, click on add software and browse it, upload. That will update the device firmware. Since my device is not connected to internet, it doesn't show the latest firmware, but if you have internet connection, it will show the latest firmware available for you. The next option is support. So it will actually redirect the page to the Lenovo support site, where you can find all the related information pertaining to your device, all the FAQs, the answers to common questions, and the download and updates of your device. Then the other option I have is system status. Here you can find the space utilization for each share, then the date and time of course, then the version is nothing but the firmware version or operating system of the NAS version, then BIOS, memory, and then the health status of the device, the hardware status. Any issue comes up, you can see under status. If drive failure or anything happens, you can see that error message. And all are green, you see temperature, fan and voltage, which means it's running fine. And on the left hand corner you can see three options. You can shut down the device, you can restart the device from here as well. Then the next option is time machine. For this you need to enable the Apple file protocol under protocols icon. So you just time machine is useful to back up the data between Macintosh and NAS. Alright, so then the next option is UPS management. If you have a UPS connected to the NAS device, then when you click on it, you will find it the battery or the power supply and the status of your UPS. The last option is users and groups. Here you can actually create new users. You can actually then delete users. You can edit user permission. So as you can see, the name, description, name is optional, then the password, and the below option is administrator. For example, you want to create an account and to give administrator privilege, you just need to check that box, and the user will have the admin rights. If you have a normal user you want to create, you can uncheck, or you might not need to check that box, administrator. And you want to create a particular or maybe secured share for that particular user, you can click add a secure share, and a share folder will be created for that user. And likewise you can create groups as well. And quota settings, if you enable quota, this is a global quota, so whatever the limit you provide, for example 5 GB or 10 GB, it will be applicable across all the users. So the users will not be able to use more space apart from the quotas you have setting. So this is all about the general overview of PX4-300D. And if you're using any other device of same version or cloud edition, you would definitely find all the features remain same. So thank you so much for watching, and keep watching for latest update, and I'm gonna post more videos as well as I promised. So thank you so much for watching, and thanks a lot, and cheers.